going on, Jerome's? So for millennia, basically since Steve Hutchinson, the Vikings have been looking for a solid-ass guard along the offensive line. And every single signing, can he play guard? Every single draft pick, can Kyrie Jackson play guard? Yes, Kyrie Jackson guards the receivers. That's what a cornerback does. But everyone and their mom was thinking that the Vikings would run it back with Dalton Risner. Came aboard after week 2 last year from the Denver Broncos, where, again, it was odd how he wasn't on a 90-man rooster, wasn't in training camp, wasn't in anything, but the Vikings made it work with Risner, took over the starting job at left guard after Ezra Cleveland got hurt and subsequently traded to Jacksonville, and he was solid. Like, metrics-wise, he was but eye test, he certainly was an improvement at left guard, and you were thinking that, okay, the Vikings have a little bit of cap space, they have a lot of cap space coming up, they can certainly structure something with Risner and bring him on back, but didn't happen. Now, the Vikings inked up Blake Brandel, who had been is that misspelled? Oh, yeah, Aaron Wilson misspelled his name. But Blake Brandel had been a long-time backup for the Vikings, coming in as a 6th-round pick in 2020 out of Oregon State. But he inked up a 3-year, $9.5 million deal with half of it guaranteed. And you're thinking, it's like, okay, it's interesting because that is not backup money, nor is that a backup length of contract. Generally, it's 1 or 2 years. So the Vikings obviously see a little something in Brandel, backed up by the fact that they have not run it back with Dalton Risner, and reportedly there hasn't even been contact with Risner or an offer made from the Vikings' point of view. So we'll see. Obviously, offensive line coach Chris Cooper and the Minnesota Vikings see a little something in Blake Brandel, as he has been installed as a starting left guard at the beginning of OTAs. So, all in with cruising down the street in my 6'4". Let's talk about Blake Brandel today. Background, 27 years young, 6'7", 315. Like we said, former 2020 6th-round pick out of Oregon State. Now, wasn't a freak athlete, wasn't a dancing bear, but more of a jack of all trades, plays with decent balance, plays with decent anchor. Basically just a lunch pail, hardworking offensive lineman, going to stick around the league by being versatile and getting a crack at a starting job, and maybe he can solidify himself there. Was a backup for 4 years, started 5 games, both at the tackle spots when Darrisaw and O'Neal were dinged up. 503 total offensive snaps in his career so far. Did play some guard in training camp as well as preseason, and like we said, signed that 3-year deal, and that's not backup money. Now, the question is, could this work? I think it certainly could, because number one, experience with Darrisaw on his left side since 2021, experience with Bradbury since 2020, so multiple years working with the guys next to him. And Bradbury's talked about before, and the coaching staff too, is like continuity and chemistry is key. And I'm guilty of this too. It's like, hey, we're trying to just play this like Madden, just like, hey, just get the highly rated guy, interior offensive lineman, draft him, just plop him in, and you're going to be good to go. Now, like, there's a reason why there isn't like a sub-package offensive line. No, these 5 guys up front need to basically know where each other are with their eyes closed. And that chemistry, it's hard to come by, and that's what they're trying to develop with that continuity. Chris Cooper obviously sees something in him, and Cooper was a 5th-round pick out of North Dakota back in the day. He worked his way up, became a world-class guard for the Denver Broncos, earned himself a nice payday before retiring as well. And maybe Cooper, who was more of a meat and potatoes jack-of-all-trades offensive lineman as well, like maybe he sees a little some of him in Blake Brandel. 3 years in the scheme, which is key. He's one of the few offensive linemen who's been here all 3 seasons of the Kevin O'Connell, Chris Cooper, Wes Phillips regime, as well as positional versatility. So not only has he had to learn both sets of footwork, he's had to learn how to play inside and outside, can back up 4 spots. I think that knowledge of the broader picture of the scheme is key. Also, like I said, plays with good balance, plays with good hands, plays with decent anchor. Like I said, nothing will necessarily blow you away about Brandel, but he's very well regarded by his teammates, very well liked in the locker room, as well as he puts in that work. And that's all you need. And obviously, also, this is like my new theory. So, short arms actually beneficial inside. Now, he's got short arms for a tackle, hence one of the reasons why he potentially struggled on the outside at the National Football League level. But inside, short arms can be a benefit as you're able to control your man with a little bit more of your chest as opposed to overextending yourself and potentially reaching. I think that was the issue with Oli Udoh, who had extremely long arms for a guard. So That's my theory that I'm running with, man. It's like almost like, hey, you know who would be a great guard? T-Rex or the guy from the scary movies. Take my strong hand. Be really good. And obviously the Vikings have faith because Chris Cooper, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, Wes Phillips, like they had a lot of other options. They could have brought back Dalton Risner. They could have signed any interior offensive lineman in free agency. They had the money and motivation to do it. They could have spent an early draft pick on a guard specifically, but they didn't. They signed up Blake Brandel, and they said, hey, you're going to be the guy, right? And if you look at the interior offensive line, so, I mean, the only real competition would be probably Michael Juergens, the 7th-round pick, a highly regarded left guard coming out of Wake Forest, also played a lot of center, and we've already said, like, Michael Juergens, I'm calling my shot. Baby make it smooth like lotion is going to be your starting center in 2025. Kwesi's also talked about kicking Walter Rouse inside, but I think Rouse is a tackle, and I think that he will be the swing guy going forward. But also, I mean, Brandel came in as a tackle in the 6th round as well, too. Feeney does have some spot start ability along the interior, but I don't think he's necessarily a threat to Brandel, and that's really about it. So it is Blake Brandel's show. Now, is it a spot where... knocking on all the wood, hopefully this doesn't happen, but maybe Blake Brandel falls on his ass and is just whatever in training camp and joint practices and preseason, and then they're like, hey, Dalton, we need to bring you back, like in Roadhouse. Certainly a possibility, so that could be a backup plan. And again, it is so weird that Risner has done well on the field, but is not on the 90-man roster. I can't explain it. There's got to be more. There's got to be more to what's going on. But obviously, they do have faith in Blake Brandel, and I actually think that this mother could actually work out. So we'll see. But your thoughts are thoughts. Blake Brandel installed as your starting left guard at OTAs. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.